After that, we got out of there. We called the limo. This is where it gets up. We called the limo. Death Row is still sitting out there waiting for us. The limo's pulling off as we're coming out. Death Row's behind us. It was like, this motherfucker's trying to kill us, man. What they trying to do? What do they want? I don't understand. What do they want?
Yeah, but M's ready to swing on someone if he has to.
Yeah, man. You know, like I said, he ain't no punk.
Eminem and 50 Cent have just reignited their war with Suge Knight, this time exposing a dark secret that could reshape how the former Death Row boss is remembered. In a newly leaked snippet from an upcoming documentary project, the duo hint at Suge's alleged involvement in a long-buried incident involving intimidation, industry blackmail, and even suspected links to past unsolved crimes. Eminem delivers a chilling voiceover saying, "Power built on fear never lasts, and the truth always finds its way out." 50 Cent follows up with his signature bluntness. Suge tried to muscle everyone, but now he can't hide behind bars or silence.
It was real. It's like, man. This is when I knew. I'm like, damn, Eminem is a real.
Sources say the dark secret revolves around a silenced witness connected to one of the 1990s West Coast murders. Someone who allegedly tried to speak up, but vanished under mysterious circumstances. This claim, backed by documented interviews and sealed court files, may finally crack open what many believe Suge used his influence to keep hidden for decades. The footage is already causing a stir online, and Suge's camp has yet to respond. But with Eminem and 50 Cent both pushing the story forward, the industry is bracing for revelations that could tarnish Suge Knight's legacy once and for all. Eminem and 50 Cent just reignited a long-standing grudge with a sharp warning aimed directly at Suge Knight.
Everybody's asking, should Eminem have dropped this sooner? Would it have hit harder back then when the tension was thick? Or is this exactly the right time for something like this?
Their message is stirring up serious questions about past alliances, betrayals, and how deep their resentment towards Suge truly runs, especially regarding those affected in their circle. This feud didn't begin recently. It traces back decades and was inherited the moment Eminem and 50 Cent aligned with Dr. Director Suge Knight, real name Marion Hugh Knight Jr., started as security for major artists like Bobby Brown. But it quickly became clear that the real influence in music wasn't on stage, it was in executive control. In 1991, Suge Knight joined forces with Dr. Dre, the DOC, and Dick Griffey to launch one of hip-hop's most intimidating powerhouses, Death Row Records.
M was walking to his seat, I'm standing up to the side, and M was cut off on his way to his seat, and all these guys in red shirts surrounded him. And I'm looking at M's face, and I'm looking at these guys, I'm like, something ain't right. So I start making my way around to come up the aisle, and next thing I know, you see all these guys talking about Death Row, Death Row. I was like, Death Row, what does it got to do with him? He said, hey man, Suge sent him a message. I say, oh, yeah.
Dre released The Chronic in 1992, revolutionizing the West Coast sound. Then came Snoop Dogg's Doggy Style in '93, dominating the charts and reshaping mainstream rap. When Tupac Shakur joined the label, Death Row became a cultural force. They had the music, the image, and the money, but their rise cast a dark shadow. Suge Knight earned a fearsome reputation. Rumors claim he pressured Vanilla Ice into handing over royalties. Others say artists were humiliated in the office under his orders. The label thrived on fear and dominance. Suge's rule went unquestioned until Dr. Dre had enough. In 1996, Dre walked away from it all, his royalties, equity, and power. He sacrificed everything to escape that toxic environment and launched Aftermath Records from the ground up, choosing independence over intimidation. Suge Knight wasn't going to walk away quietly.
M had inherited Dr. Dre's beef by signing with Dre.
I seen my cousin Snoop, man. He was like, God, he was sad, man. You know, you can hear in his voice that, you know, I don't want to be here.
After Dr. Dre exited Death Row Records, Suge reportedly saw it as a betrayal and made it his mission to ensure Dre wouldn't succeed without him. It became personal, an unspoken vendetta with real consequences. Early on, it looked like Suge might have the upper hand. Aftermath Records' first releases didn't land as expected, and whispers in the industry questioned whether Dre had lost his signature sound. Suge, meanwhile, appeared unbothered, watching from the sidelines as doubts grew around Dre's comeback. But then Dre made a move no one anticipated. He signed a young artist from Detroit with raw talent and something to prove, Eminem. The gamble paid off. When the Slim Shady LP dropped, the entire landscape of rap shifted. Eminem's unfiltered style, combined with Dre's polished production, disrupted the industry overnight.
Dr. Dre left first, Pac died. You know, all of those things kept us at number one. The music changed. The direction changed.
Within months, Eminem was holding multiple Grammys. Aftermath had regained its footing, and Dre was once again on top. This sudden resurgence didn't sit well with Suge Knight. According to several media reports, Suge turned his attention to Eminem, seeing him as a new threat. The tension hit a boiling point in 1999 during an awards show. As Eminem walked toward the stage, expecting a routine moment, he was suddenly surrounded. Suge's associates, clad in red and chanting "Death Row," cornered the path. The moment became one of the most talked about incidents in hip-hop. It sent a clear message. Suge Knight wasn't letting go of the past, and he wasn't backing down. Suge Knight wasn't ready to move on quietly. Feeling betrayed by Dr. Dre's exit, Suge reportedly made it a mission to ensure Dre wouldn't succeed without him.
Suge is coming! So I'm like,
Suge's outside. Suge's outside. Everybody like, he was running, dropping.
so Suge came, he had some Mexican niggas. Now we from New York. You ain't never seen a nigga with a tattoo on his forehead. 118th Street crew. I'm like, what the fuck?
What followed became a silent rivalry rooted in resentment, ego, and unfinished business. At first, it looked like Suge might be right. Aftermath Records' early releases failed to meet expectations. Industry chatter speculated that Dre's creative edge had dulled. Suge, meanwhile, watched from the background, calm and patient, as doubts surrounding Dre grew louder. But just when many believed Dre might fall off completely, he made a bold move that changed hip-hop's trajectory. He signed an unknown white rapper from Detroit, Eminem. That decision reshaped everything. When the Slim Shady LP dropped in 1999, it hit the industry like a shockwave. Eminem brought unapologetic energy, unfiltered lyricism, and razor-sharp storytelling. Within months, he dominated charts and collected 3 Grammy Awards. Dre had not only made a comeback, he had reshaped the entire sound of the game. With Dre back on top, Suge Knight's quiet observation ended. Reports suggest he turned his focus toward Eminem, viewing him as the new threat to his former empire. Media outlets began to pick up rumors that Suge's interest in Eminem wasn't passive, it was confrontational.
They was not scared of Suge Knight. They was terrified.
What do you think of Eminem? Is that what do you think of white rap?
If you really from the ghetto and you really doing those things you rapping about, you talking about, I can respect that.
Right.
But if somebody else writing your rhymes, somebody else, if you telling somebody else's story, that really don't mean nothing.
The tension escalated at an award show in 1999. As Eminem made his way to the stage, he was reportedly confronted. A group affiliated with Suge Knight appeared in red shirts, loudly chanting "Death Row," and surrounded the area. What should have been a moment of celebration turned into a statement. That incident marked a new chapter in the ongoing conflict, one where the past refused to stay buried. The confrontation wasn't just about intimidation, it was about sending a message. But Eminem didn't react the way Suge Knight's affiliates had likely hoped. He walked straight past them, unfazed, and continued his night as planned. Eminem handed the award to DMX and quietly returned to his seat without making a scene. Even outside the venue, the tension lingered. Reports indicate that individuals tied to Suge remained near Eminem's limousine, watching and waiting, as if still hoping to provoke a reaction. But Eminem had endured intense battles before. This encounter wasn't enough to shake him. He stayed focused and moved forward.
Like, was somebody from the barbershop like punch you and knock you out after that? Like, you be knocked out like from the guy from the barbershop do that? It changed. And they be like, Suge's outside. And everybody be like, yeah? What do you want?
Suge Knight, however, didn't let the moment go. Over the years, whenever Eminem gained momentum in the industry, Suge found subtle ways to discredit him. Through interviews, whispers, and behind-the-scenes commentary, Suge often tried to paint Eminem as inauthentic, suggesting he wasn't street-bred and simply played a crafted persona. But Suge Knight's actions didn't end with words. In 1999, during a death row reunion party held in Hawaii, he allegedly made another calculated move. The guest list was filled with notable figures: Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, Eminem, and their families were all in attendance. What was meant to be a celebratory, low-key event quickly took a darker tone. According to sources familiar with the situation, Suge reportedly flew his crew out and placed them around the area, raising alarms. The intent appeared to be clear: create disruption, generate fear, and reassert presence. Once Dre's camp caught wind of the plan, immediate steps were taken to increase protection. Extra security and local law enforcement were brought in to secure the venue. The priority was simple: avoid conflict, ensure everyone's safety, and prevent the gathering from becoming another headline involving Suge Knight's reputation. For those present, the message was clear: some old rivalries were still alive and well. Then came 2002, a year that dramatically shifted the landscape. Eminem discovered 50 Cent's mixtape Guess Who's Back and immediately recognized its potential. Without hesitation, he passed it to Dr. Dre, setting into motion a partnership that would reshape hip-hop. Soon after, Dre and Eminem signed 50 Cent to Shady and Aftermath Records. With that one move, a new chapter began. On February 6, 2003, Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped, and it was an instant takeover. The album debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, moving over 872,000 units in its first week alone. The impact was undeniable. A new dominant voice had emerged. But entering the world of Eminem and Dre meant more than just fame. It meant inheriting their rivalries. And one of the biggest was Suge Knight. Suge wasn't sending subtle jabs either. According to multiple reports, he disapproved of what was unfolding and decided to reassert his presence through intimidation. During the video shoot for 50 Cent's In Da Club, Suge reportedly showed up with approximately 30 men, many of whom were visibly there to make a statement. As soon as his presence became known, much of the surrounding crew scattered, unwilling to test the moment. But 50 Cent didn't flinch. He stood firm and reportedly confronted Suge directly, questioning his intentions. That moment demonstrated a turning point. Suge Knight's tactics, once feared throughout the industry, seemed to lose their grip. Rather than escalate the situation, Suge backed off and exited without a word. It marked a subtle yet powerful shift in the industry's balance of power, a signal that the new era wasn't going to be bullied by the old one. And just when the decades-long conflict seemed buried in the past, it resurfaced unexpectedly. Eminem delivered a curveball, a previously unreleased diss track titled Smack You leaked online, reigniting long dormant tensions. In the track, Eminem didn't hold back, taking direct shots at both Suge Knight and Ja Rule. What made this leak especially explosive was the lyrical content. Eminem goes as far as to hold Suge Knight responsible for two of hip-hop's greatest losses, Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. In the track, Eminem reportedly says, "I'm holding Suge responsible for the deaths of the two greatest rappers to ever grace the face of this planet. If only the late great Mr. Christopher Wallace could speak for himself." The verse continues with a threat aimed at Suge and J. Rule's circle. "I'm holding Suge responsible for the death of J. Rule or anyone else down with death row, in the immortal words of Pac, speaking for me and any other rapper next to get shot." The timing of the leak was no coincidence. It quickly went viral, sparking widespread discussion and analysis across platforms. For many, it reopened wounds from an era marked by diss tracks, violent confrontations, and career-defining rivalries. Online reactions surged, with fans dissecting every lyric and questioning the intention behind its release. Suge Knight, currently incarcerated, has not issued a response to the track. And while the diss was recorded years ago, its sudden emergence has reignited questions about accountability, legacy, and the unfinished business between major figures in hip-hop's most volatile chapter. One online commenter remarked, "I'm no expert on street politics, but I've heard many say the white guy in the crew is often the wildest because he has to prove himself twice as hard." Another added, 50 Cent did what anyone should do to a bully, stand up. Bullies feed on fear, and he gave them nothing. That sentiment likely explains why Eminem and 50 Cent connected so strongly. No fear, no compromise, just unfiltered presence. The raw chemistry between them stood against intimidation, manipulation, and every form of behind-the-scenes control the industry had to offer. Another comment stood out. Suge Knight never really cared about music. It was always about power, and now he's watching from the sidelines. Funny how that turned out. That perspective echoes louder now than ever, especially as the unreleased diss track Smack You reignites discussion across the culture. Now the question making rounds is this: should Eminem have released that diss when the heat was at its peak in the early 2000s? Would it have landed harder in real time during the most intense chapters of the rivalry? Or was waiting the better play, allowing the message to cut deeper now with years of hindsight and changed dynamics? Let the conversation continue below. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should this diss have dropped earlier, or was now the perfect time? And what does it say about where hip-hop is heading? If this story gripped your attention, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Because in hip-hop, the truth always finds its way back to the surface.